Welcome to a Trucker's Minds podcast. I'm Eddie McGee.
It's your boy K Finks.
We're back, man. Episode 330.
Yes, sir.
I got kind of tongue-tied even at the beginning. It's so fucking hot.
Yeah.
I was like, welcome to a Trucker's Minds. Yeah, anyways, let's get right into it. Before we do that, though, let's give a shout-out to our guy, Baby Hulk, David Wilson. He just got another victory over Alex. How do you say his name? Alex Poinar? Yeah, so he just got a victory over him.
Yes, sir.
He smoked this guy.
Shout out to Baby Hulk, man.
Yeah, so shout out to him. Before we get into the topics, let's also talk about just some 3 significant deaths. Deaths happen every day. We understand that. But some of these deaths are just a little too close to home. One of them being Richard Simmons. A lot of people grew up, especially, me in the 80s. You grew up seeing Richard Simmons. And he was one of those dudes that just like, despite outside of him being gay, he was really trying to help people. Like
right.
He was openly gay way before all the LGBT stuff and all that. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people had a lot of respect for Richard, But yeah, he genuinely devoted his life to helping people get in better shape. He was passionate about it. He passed away. So regardless if Richard Simmons had any impact on your life or anybody else's that he was a significant figure in culture. So yeah, shout out to Richard Simmons.
Yeah, rest in peace to him.
And he was the first openly gay dude to wear glitter short ass pants.
I don't think he was technically openly gay.
What do you mean by that?
I don't think he ever came out and said that he was gay.
Oh, probably
he just kind of lived his life. But
yeah,
I don't think I wouldn't consider him openly gay.
Got you. That him and fucking what's the other one? The one that made that song, Tutti Frutti, oh Rudy.
Oh,
Little Richard.
Little Richard, yeah.
Yeah, Little Richard.
All the Richards is gay.
Yeah. If you listen to this, your name is Richard, probably gay. All right, disclaimer. Also, the AC is on and the fans are blowing and it's still hot as fuck. So if you hear any background noise, that's what's going on. Also, shout out and rest in peace, or just not a shout out, but rest in peace to Jacoby Jones from the Baltimore Ravens. He just passed away at the age of 40 in his sleep. They don't know the cause of death yet. I guess they're still looking at that, but that's very young. Rest in peace to him. Yeah. Also, Shannon Doherty, who we all grew up watching in the 90s on 90210. She just passed, and I think that's really significant because a lot of us grew up watching 90s television. She was one of the huge stars of that time. Her and like Luke Perry and people like that, like Jennifer Aniston, people like that in the 90s were massive stars on TV. So huge rest in peace to these people, man. Let's go ahead and get into the topics. Starting off, obviously the biggest fucking story in America, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. It's so early. I mean, it's hard to form an in-depth opinion about something that just happened less than 24 hours ago. But yeah, man, we're gonna talk about it. That's what we do on podcasts, right? All right. So here's my deal. Seeing this is 2 things. Either it is a huge, terrible mess up by freaking special, what do you call them?
Secret Service.
Secret Services. Either it's a huge fuck up by Secret Service or there's some conspiratorial stuff behind it. I can't speak on the hoax stuff, but I will say this much. If the same thing happened to Joe Biden, then Trumpers would call it a fucking liberal hoax. That's what I do believe. Also, what I don't like is the extremely liberal people saying like, oh, they missed. I can't believe he missed. Wait a minute, buddy. Okay, if you're supposed to be, liberal, like which is supposed to be the party of the peace, right? Why are you hoping that somebody shot Donald Trump? I don't wish death on anyone. So I see a lot of hypocrisy going on. I feel like the liberals that are saying like they're mad because the guy missed his shot, and I'm also seeing people that are conservative saying like they tried to kill our great president. It's like if it was Biden, you would call it a liberal hoax and fake news. But every time anything happens to Trump, y'all just got his dick, balls, and asshole in your mouth. And the one thing that I heard this from like an ex-Marine, and he talked about the surveillance and things they have. He said anybody that would try to do a photo op after something like that, like they would get pushed down. Like, why is he trying to do a photo op after somebody was shooting at him? He's like, it was just a little too convenient. But he says, hey, I don't know. All I know is this odd to like do a photo op right in the middle of a fucking assassination attempt.
It's dog. It's
Donald Trump though.
It's not, and that doesn't apply. I mean, I think any normal politician would just, follow the protocol and just get out of there. But it's Donald Trump. That's like asking, why is Donald Trump president? It's just, it just happened. You know
That's
what I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't really use precedent on the way Donald Trump moves. That's crazy.
My opponent failed. He tried to kill me.
Yeah. I know I think they have another thing in Milwaukee. He gonna come out on 10.
Oh, he gonna be bad.
Yeah, he gonna come out on 10.
I believe that my opponent may have had something to do with it. Maybe he did not. Maybe he did. I'm not saying he had anything to do with it, but maybe he could have. But I'm letting you know that I'm not going anywhere. There's a possibility he's gonna insinuate that that the left-wing media and liberals are trying to take him out because they know his agenda for this country and all this. And I just think that I'm not a person that follows or gives a fuck about Trump or Biden personally. So I could just see through all the fluff. Mm-hmm. And then they reached out to Biden for a comment, and he was just like, this is a very serious matter. And there's just a lot of things. And when I was a baby boy and I seen Kamala's a great president. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. I do respect what he actually said though, because he was basically saying like, let the the FBI and everybody do their due diligence. Don't try to rush and blame like any sort of side or whatever. I think that when it comes to presidential assassination attempts, we're never really going to know what the motive was behind a lot of those things, because this is, we got John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln and Nixon got shot as well. Especially back in the day, like some of them got killed, before anything, could ever before any questions and stuff ever happened. But now we have, internet and stuff. And I imagine the FBI is doing a lot of, looking through his search history and looking through his phone, his computer and everything like that to see what was going on. But, supposedly the guy was conservative, but also Pennsylvania is a swing state to my knowledge. Yeah. So I think that, it just,
I'm trying to look up these links,
but I think that, it's one of those things where you in that sort of state, I think Iowa, Florida, states like that,
Midwest.
Those states where it kind of goes both ways. You're never really gonna know what people think because inherently they're not necessarily like a California or a New York or a Texas.
Right.
I mean, they're not always going to lean a certain way. So you got people that are they are there really to to see what's going on, to see who they're going to vote for.
And it's crazy. It's a 20-year-old that did this shit. Mm-hmm. It's like, bro, at 20 years old, you shouldn't even be this immersed in anything political. Like, you shouldn't be charged up to do any type of assassination towards Biden or Trump. You should be living your life and being a fucking kid.
Yeah.
That's the shit that's fucked up, man. Like, regardless of how we think, I don't know enough about intelligence to say that this is a hoax or whatever the case. But I'm at a time in my life, I don't know what the fuck to believe, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what to believe. Because now when I look at 9/11 footage and I see a plane hit, I see an explosion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Because people, for many years, I just told people, like, it's insensitive, it's ignorant. Why do you keep saying that there was bombs in there? Like, that's just dumb. Mm-hmm. The Twin Towers was built for that type of accident. Mm-hmm. Or not accident, terrorist attack. It was built because that wasn't the first terrorist attack on the World Trade. You know that, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't the first one. Mm-hmm. They tried one before, but they tried it with, like, dynamite and, like, a Penske truck underneath the towers, and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. So when the planes ran into it, you see like a whole line of fucking fire there, and I'm like, that might be dynamite.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really know, but yeah, I think that I would say though they interviewed one of the guys that went to school with the shooter, and they said that he was a kid that was very quiet. He was a kid that would wear like military, like the camouflage, the camo stuff to school, like just kind of very awkward, very quiet, and he would get bullied a lot, when he was in school, and he said he doesn't necessarily connect this to him being bullied, but he also just said like that's just kind of what it looked like when he was in school. He also said I think he was in some sort of assault. I guess it was like an assault rifle class that they had at the school, and he was a person that kind of participated in that class as well.
Maybe he was apolitical. Like, even though he was probably conservative, maybe he was apolitical and he wanted to be known for doing something. Sometimes people will do things so their name is remembered.
Yeah. Like, he could be just conservative by, like, I signed my thing when I registered to vote.
But you can also end up being apolitical and say, hey, I don't have any purpose on this planet. I already want to die, so let me go ahead and let's do a suicide by possible assassination attempt. Right. There are people who want to take their own lives, but they're cowards, so they run out into traffic. You ever heard of death by truck? Yeah, people will run out into a freeway and get fucking mutilated, man.
God dang.
There was a lady that worked for the LA coroner's office. She has a TikTok account, and she said that they're like the worst cases she's seen two terrible ones. She's seen one where a dude ran on the freeway, and she said those are always the worst because you have to collect all the organs and you have to shut the freeway down. And she said she was finding hands, eyeballs, fingers, and she was finding them scattered out. Sometimes one of them was scattered a mile away from when the initial thing happened.
God damn.
Yeah, finding arms, legs, toes, and you got to collect all of it, and you have to get all of it before you can open the freeway back up.
Dang.
And then another one she's saying that was fucked up. She said that there was are you familiar with a wood chipper? Mm-hmm. It's basically where they put the wood and it's just and it spits it out like it's mulch on the other side. Well, she said this dude was cutting down trees, and she said that his shirt or his fabric basically got snatched up by the saw, I think, and he fell forward and he fell into the wood chipper, and the wood chipper fucking sawed him all up.
Him.
It turned him, and she said he looked like ground beef, and she said she had to collect all of his body. She had to collect it in baggies because it was unrecognizable. Like, it's fucking wild. And then it's sad. And the people that see this shit, I feel bad for anybody that did see a death because somebody did die as a result of this. So my thing is instead of getting straight conspiratorial, I feel multiple ways. I don't know what to believe because everything is not what it seems. I believe that. But I also believe that somebody fucking died, and that's a fact. Somebody literally died, and the dude that was saving him tried to, but it was too late. The dude had brain matter. His brain matter, the bullet had hit him, and his brain was out.
In his head, yeah. That's the thing. It's like you can believe the conspiracies and all this other stuff. I'm not one to really.
But when people die, that's real.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not one to spend my time looking at conspiracies online, but like you said, when somebody gets hit in the head and they actually die, that's real. So it's
absolutely.
like even in with the 9/11, people actually died. So whether it's a conspiracy or it was set up or not, there are real lives at stake.
Absolutely.
These things.
But I think one thing history has showed us is it showed us not to overlook everything, simply because through history and through knowing things and through documentaries and through books, we've learned that a lot of even the war on drugs and things of that nature, we learned that our government was incentivizing people to sell drugs. Literal, Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, was funding the war against the Contras and the Sandinistas. Literally. A dude in fucking Compton. And I think it was Compton, Crenshaw. I can't remember where he was at specifically. But this guy that was making $3 million a day was funding a war. So I'm not the guy to dispel things. I'm simply one to say I'm at a time where I don't know what's real, but what is real is death. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Okay? Donald Trump is about to be off. Man, he about to be talking big shit. He's like, what's crazy, after they shot me, I was helped by a black doctor helped me. Very fine man, very fine person. He's like, oh, here we go. Yeah. And that's why the blacks need to vote for me.
Yeah.
I know you like guns. I know you like violence. I'm violent. You're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I can only imagine what that walkout is going to look like. I think that I will say that was like I said, I'm not a person. I don't wish death on nobody. Like, I don't think that even if you're like the most outside of you being like a murderer or, you know, like a person that is, you know, taking somebody's life that, you know, affects me in some sort of way. Like, I'm not a person that wishes death on nobody. If you're Donald Trump and the worst thing you've done is, you know, maybe said some borderline, you know, discriminatory things, you know, about black people, then I don't have enough space, you know, in my hate to really, you know, get that off on you. I will say that the you know, in from what we've seen and what we know, that it was a couple inches away from seeing someone, you know, get assassinated.
Absolutely.
In 4K. Like, I don't think in history we've seen something like that. Obviously, we have like Kennedy and there's like footage and stuff of the parade and whatnot. But I for that to have happened with people's cell phones out, you know, and all those cameras rolling and a lot of people around the world watching that in real time, that was, you know, that was like the most craziest thing. So I can see how, like, you know, like conservative people are probably energized right now.
Yeah.
You know, you try to take down somebody that they, you know, that they deem as like the next president.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly think that with that, that probably all Donald Trump has to do now is just be himself. I think that assassination attempt, I think it kind of solidified his win, you know, because I think he's going to milk this whole thing for the rest of.
You're right about the live thing, though. This is the fucked up time to see somebody get killed live because they would have looped that shit all over the internet.
Sure.
It would have been just Donald Trump getting his head blown off, and I think that people are so desensitized they would have tried to turn it into a meme. That's how fucked up people are.
T-shirts.
They're desensitized to people dying, death, everything serious. People are fucked up, man. Also, too, I'm glad that he didn't get assassinated is for this reason. It's Jacqueline Kennedy, his wife. Before I said this, I wanted to fact check it. It says right here, Jacqueline Kennedy climbed on the back of the car to retrieve fragments from the president's brain. After he got his fucking brain blew off, his wife was so distraught by seeing his brain matter fly out, she was trying to collect it. In that moment, she thought that she could put her husband back together. That is how fucked up this is. Mm-hmm. He was assassinated, brain blown out, and his wife's trying to grab his brain. Mm-hmm. And there's footage of this. Mm-hmm. And this is from fucking, the 60s? Mm-hmm. So can you imagine in 2024?
Yeah.
This is bad. I don't care how much you don't like Trump. You don't wish death on people. Yeah. You don't. It's not significant enough to wish death on Donald Trump, dog. Mm-hmm. Just don't be that guy.
Yeah.
I know the jokes is flying and shit like that. I just don't got enough energy towards Biden or Trump. You know what I'm saying? And also, by the way, regardless of who wins, more likely Trump is going to run away with this election, by the way. Right. But you still got to wake up in the morning and you got to live your motherfucking life.
Yeah.
You got to wake up and put your work boots on. You got to wake up and put your shoes on. You got to wake up and be a man or a grown woman every day. So don't you dare get on here wishing death on motherfuckers, because death don't work the way you think it does. You think you get to wish death on people and laugh, ha, 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 and then you get hit by a bus. That's how death works. Mm-hmm. Don't you fucking dare. There are receipts of you wishing death on people on the internet. I hope and pray that you go back and you delete them motherfucking comments. Mm-hmm. Go back and delete them motherfucking comments, because all of a sudden, if your uncle get shot in the head or hit by a bus and somebody laugh at them and wish death on them, you wouldn't like that very much, would you? Mm-hmm. You got to understand, this is bigger than Trump, because the people seeing them wishing death on Trump, his kids see that. Mm-hmm. He got a young son to see that. His wife see that. Mm-hmm. People see that. I just think at some point it's people I completely disagree with that I do not like. I do not wish death on them.
Yeah.
I know how it feels to lose people, so I wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You got anything else for this?
No, I think the only thing that I would say is, like, you know, when it initially happened, you know, we were all in the house together and we thought it was a joke.
Yeah, I said that's AI, man.
Yeah, and then you actually do your Googles and do your research, and you realize like, yo, this really happened. So, um, that's the weird part about today's day and age. Even going back to the beef with Kendrick and Drake. All these songs are dropping, and we don't know what's real and we don't know what's fake. And,
right.
We got AI Tupac and all this other stuff. Like I think that's the weird part about today, where we have to, as fast as information gets around, it does take a minute for stuff to get validated or confirmed. Even with Kobe's passing and stuff like that. People was like, nah, that's not real. Like but I think that like you said, I just think that for those people that are wishing death on Donald Trump, I think you need to look yourself in the mirror and really have a conversation with yourself about why you're saying those things. And I think that that's just a sick way to move. You cannot like somebody politically, and there are people that like I can't talk about their experience, because there are people that like live and breathe politics.
Oh my God.
They know much more about me. I knew like people even when I was like in school, like parents and stuff like that were not even legal citizens, but they were like super, watching CNN and Fox, and they like are super informed about all the the things and the historical context of all these different things. And that's just kind of like part of the fabric of their makeup. But I just think that I'm glad. I would say this: I'm glad Donald Trump is not dead.
Yeah, absolutely. They have something from the photographer that took that picture, but it's all video, so it's no point us hearing that. Yeah, but the Secret Service is facing serious questions. Let me see. That's what I had earlier. In the wake of the attempted assassination on Donald Trump, there are widespread concerns and questions about how the sniper was able to obtain rooftop access roughly 150 meters from the former president's position at the podium at an outdoor rally. Sources have described the shooting as coming from the 3 o'clock position of the Trump's podium location, with shots coming from his right side. Seconds after gunfire rang out, Secret Service counter assault snipers began shooting the suspect, who was found on top of the roof. Notably, the shooter's location was outside the security perimeter, raising questions about both the size of the perimeter and efforts to sweep the American Glass Research Building. And now the shooter was able to obtain the rooftop. There were people that said they seen him, though, and they said, hey, there's somebody going up that thing.
Yeah.
And I guess nobody heard it in time.
Yeah. They were saying he had a gun and everything.
Yeah. So people seen it. They're like, hey, somebody's up there. He has a gun. And nobody listened. Yeah. So that's a little bit strange. That's all I can say. I can definitively say it's strange. That's all I can say. I can't say, make a definite statement and say, they did this because this is this and this is this. Like, you don't know anything. I don't.
Right.
Right?
I think I will say, though, like, I don't know what that conversation looked like with the Secret Service, and who, if there's people that are maybe getting fired or getting a stern talking to, but that it comes with the territory, if that makes sense. Like if if say for most people don't know where we record, but it's in a space where there's rooftop access, there's parking garages, there's certain things, and I would imagine that there's a lot of people, making sure they checking everything and stuff like that. But it's a lot of, like, I'm just looking out the window right now and I'm like, dang, if somebody was trying to off me, like if they just sat right here and, they just, busted this window out, like it would be easy. But like, I just say that to say, like, it requires, like, dang near like to like knock on every door, go through every floor, have maybe a few hundred, people, looking and searching for things, and maybe a few dogs and stuff like that.
That's what Candace Owens said, though. Candace Owens said that the reason why she doesn't understand or she thinks it's weird is because her husband was almost shot by Secret Service just for like making an appearance that felt like it was too like quick. They had guns drawn ready to shoot her husband.
Yeah.
So she felt that like this was a little weird that somebody could get rooftop access.
Right.
He said prior to, she said she's been at these events. He said prior to these events for weeks, they even go and knock on doors if they have to. Like, and this is what they do. They find every position and every angle that could be a threat to the president. And this is it. There's a 0% chance. She said there is a zero. This is her words, not mine.
Yeah.
There's a 0% chance that you will have access to shoot somebody. And I could play the clip.
No, I don't want to hear Candace Owens.
Oh,
yeah, I'm cool. But I mean, it happened, you know,
Yeah.
and maybe she doesn't believe it's true, and she's also, you know, she kind of feeds into a lot of those narratives. But I just, you know, it happened.
Yeah.
We don't know why. I mean, there's going to be more information that comes out, and we're going to see maybe what, you know, how he was able to gain access in that capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think for me, I'm not the biggest fan of Candace Owens, but I can always respect when people can be objective.
Right.
And I feel like that's an objective stance by her. Also, me being how close she is to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Or what the type of relationship she's had with him. Right. So she's willing to go against like certain things that she even has subscribed to.
Yeah.
Like her and what's the dude, Ben Shapiro had a falling out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think, and there's certain things she said politically that don't align with conservative stuff. So even though I'm like out on Candace Owens, I don't completely like lack respect for her. Just based on the fact that she could get out there and say some objective things. And I thought that's pretty interesting that she said that.
Yeah.
You know, especially being as the magnitude of this is, you know, it's everywhere. We're going to find out more. There'll be more of the story. I think we're going to have a lot more to say about this. If we skip over it, I think we might need to skip over it next week, unless there's just so much like information that's revealed. But here's the thing. I think what me and Keith do a good job of is we don't make too many definite statements, and we allow stories to develop. And we're just two guys. Let's be clear. But if you listen to these other podcasts, these niggas got a whole book worth of conspiracies to give you.
Yeah, that's annoying. I hate when, and this is just a rant outside of Donald Trump getting shot in the air, but there's podcasters that like present questions as if like, you know, they're like part of their podcast or their conversation is like presenting like the conspiratorial question. You know what I mean? Like so be like, hey Eddie, what do you think? You know, what do you think was the reason why they attempted to assassinate Donald Trump? And then they'd be like, if I was, you know, to just make a statement about it, I think that it was because of blah blah blah. But it's just like all of that is just like it's not a real conversation.
Yeah,
it's just like a bunch of like
it's anecdotal.
Yeah, right.
It's just a bunch of anecdotes that don't really amount to shit.
Right.
So I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm not gonna be that guy. But I will say, like I said before we move on, I don't know what's real and what's not a lot of times. And I think I could comfortably make that statement. There's been so many things that have been disproven over time.
Yeah.
Right? But, yeah, there's that. Let's go ahead and switch gears. God, it's so hot in here. If you guys knew how my balls felt right now.
Oh, dang.
God. All right. Switching gears. Twitch streamer Sketch confirms he created adult content during a dark time. If you guys don't know who Sketch is, he's one of the biggest streamers, especially for like Madden. And like over 2 years ago, before he became a streamer, he was doing gay porn on OnlyFans. And somebody went and found it. To be short, but popular Twitch streamer Sketch confirmed on Monday's live stream that leaks of years-old videos originally posted to OnlyFans that appeared to show the streamer engaging in sexual acts with other men were actually him, prompting an outpouring of support from other streamers who slammed the YouTuber pocketbook for outing in the adult content. Okay, here's Sketch, a Texas-based streamer with more than 1 million followers, whose real name is Kylie Cox, responded to leaked adult content.
What's his real name?
It says Kylie Cox. Yeah, Kylie Cox. Or yeah, that's what it says on there.
Dang.
Yeah, responded to leaked adult content. Originally posted on OnlyFans, or it's not Kyle, it's Kylei. That's Kylie, correct?
Kylei.
Yeah. It's not. It's definitely not Kyle. It says whose real name has got to be Kylie Cox. That's a fucking porn name in itself. Yeah. Anyways, originally posted an OnlyFans account that appeared to be of him, which he confirmed were real and were from 2 years ago. The YouTube account Pocketbook posted screenshots from Cox OnlyFans videos, 17-minute video titled "The Real Sketch: The Untold Story of Jamie Marr," because I guess the porn name was Jamie Marr. Posted on Sunday, in which the YouTuber discussed Cox's past as a gay adult content creator. In the video, Pocketbook he said he felt comfortable sharing the information because being LGBT is not a career ender, but most commentators and social media users slammed the video and accused him. That's bullshit, you fucking liar.
He didn't want to make content.
You didn't. That's a lie. He said that being LGBT wasn't a career ender. Like, you could have just shut the fuck up, honestly.
Right. You didn't have to say nothing.
You didn't have to say shit. That dude was being nasty. He was being a piece of shit for that.
For sure.
He could have just shut the fuck up.
But
it doesn't help me if I find, first of all, why are you seeking gay porn?
Right.
If I find out a nigga do gay porn, let somebody else find that out. I'm not going to be the one to tell nobody.
Right. I just think that, that's very disingenuous to try to make it sound like you're doing him like doing him some good by
you lying like
him.
a motherfucker.
Yeah, it's just content, and he probably knew that it would go viral, and it's something there was a production value to it all. Like, I didn't watch the video, but I'm just saying, like, from the kind of screenshots that I've seen of the pictures with him with makeup on and that's production for sure, and it's probably something he was holding on to for a while. I just think that. It sucks when you're in that position. I don't think there's been anybody that has like been able to like just come out, like in terms of like celebrities, entertainers, YouTubers, and all this other stuff. For the most part, in the past however many years, most of these people have been outed. We talk about Isaiah Rashad. You talk about like the dude Sketch. Like, these people are. They're living their life, and, obviously there's a lot of, people that deal with, I'm not going to say deal with it, but, that are, homosexual or bisexual, whatever they consider themselves to be. A lot of those people are dealing with a lot of like mental health stuff. So to be outed by that, I think a lot of them feel like somewhat relieved, but a lot of them, like, that only pushes them deeper into whatever they're dealing with, and I just think that it's not really our position to do something like that. But I know, part of this whole conversation is outside of like the sexuality of it all is just like I think more people need foresight when it comes to putting themselves naked on camera doing anything, whether it's a man or a woman. When you got your face, all in the camera and you doing all these sexual acts, like, it's just crazy. I think even, back in the day, it was like, I'm sure it is now. I wouldn't really know, but back in the day, it was like a thing to like send nudes. Like, it was like, that's just part of the conversation. You pop on Snapchat, you send whatever you need to send, and hopefully that get a rise out of whomever you're talking to, and then y'all link up and do whatever you need to do. But I just think, for you or for anybody, and I don't know when he was doing this content, but for anybody to be doing that in the 2020 whatever, I'm just like, dang, man, y'all some brave individuals, because you just never know, like, just as fast as that Haktua girl, like, if she was able to blow up, imagine if she had something like that out there and she had an opportunity to be on a late night talk show or just something like that, and that ended up ruining her opportunity. So I just think that if you young enough now and you ain't really got no mess out there like that, just delete it all, bro. Delete all that stuff from your phone and just keep it regular. Whatever you need to do it in person, and then just leave it to your imagination. You do not need to record yourself doing all these. Yeah,
I will say this too. I think that the dangerous thing about OnlyFans, for one, is incentivizing people to like basically, engage in like lewd behavior. But here's the problem though. I think people see an easy dollar, but the biggest and scariest thing about fucking on camera is you don't know who you're going to be one day.
Right.
You don't know who you're going to be one day. You might be doing OnlyFans, and all of a sudden you find God, and you like, you know what? For the past 4 or 5 years, I've been making a lot of money on OnlyFans, but this does not align with my relationship with God, so I have to stop doing this. And by the time you say, I have to stop doing this, you've been fucking for years. There's a lot of people who have your content, who have screen grabbed your content, who have subscribed to your content, who've seen you sucking and fucking. They've seen it. And the issue with that is all of a sudden, let's say you find God and then you become involved in politics, and then you become involved with local politics, and you love it, and that you've created this new image and this new lease on life, right? And you like, you know what? I want to run for local office. I think I could do it. And then bam, it's a video you sucking.
Be all over.
Then it's a video you sucking dick, right? And then here's the thing: it's not to shame you for sucking dick. Everybody's having sex. It's probably videos of people eating pussy and shit. But guess what? If you want to run for office, if you want to be a entertainer, if you want to be in Hollywood, there are people who can leverage certain things.
Yeah.
And they will do it. Mm-hmm. And it's fucked up, but it's the truth. Look what happened with Kevin Hart. They reached back over a decade ago to pull a joke he had on Twitter, saying if he found out if his son was gay, he would crash. He would throw hit him over the head with a toy or some shit. Mm-hmm. So it's like they were literally crucifying him currently for what he said over 10 years ago as a joke on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So magnify that time sucking dick, and this is what you get.
Right.
Just don't. And bro,
I think I would just say that when you do that sexual content and you record it and it's online, it's on OnlyFans or whatever the case may be, you're limiting your life.
Yes.
Like, there's obviously people like Kim Kardashian who have kind of like surpassed that, and she has a career beyond it. And I think Kim Kardashian could do pretty much whatever she wants to, but you're not Kim Kardashian.
No, you're not.
She's a one of one, because there's a lot of people that have those things. There's been teachers that have lost jobs. There's been obviously streamers that have been outed. There's been rappers that have been outed. There's been just a bunch of people, and none of that has been conducive to their progress.
Absolutely.
And it hasn't led to more subscribers or more album sales or anything like that. So I just say, like, that's just my recommendation for everybody, is just turn your phone off, dog. Like, if you're going to have some sort of sexual, experience, just have it be with the individuals that you're dealing with, and move on. And just, But yeah, I just think, with today's day and age, I mean, people were doing it already, obviously, with like camcorders and stuff like that. You got like Pamela Anderson, Tommy Lee, and stuff like that have their whole things, or the whole sex tape of the Paris Hiltons and stuff like that. But I just think that
Paris is another one that went past that sex tape, though.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. It's been a couple, but Kim is definitely like the top tier, person, in that department. But yeah, just turn the phones off, dog. And I will say, it's just know that it's not worth it. And there are people that are like making a lot of money on OnlyFans, but just know that that's like, it's like getting a tattoo. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where obviously they got tattoo removals, but those things look terrible. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's pretty much a permanent decision. Mm-hmm. And especially if you live in Bakersfield, because we know people that have OnlyFans. Yep. In Bakersfield, if you decide to just change your life in some way, shape, or form, you get like low key popping. It's going to be somebody that got the screen recording.
Yes,
it's going to be somebody that got the name of the account or whatever. Even if you delete it, they might have a stash somewhere, in their phone, and it's definitely going to pop up. So
always,
just be careful out there.
Don't ever think you're moving throughout life without people paying attention. People pay attention to everything you fucking do, especially when they don't like you. People who dislike you the most pay you the most attention. Yeah. Okay. And not only that, another thing is. Whenever, like, you get accepted in the sex world, not in the real world, right? That's one thing. Another thing is this. Let's just get off the sex word. Imagine for 5 years straight, you couldn't control your anger and you put your hands on women, right? And you were beating on women at the age of, let's say you did it in high school all the way up till you was 19 or 21. And then, you found God and you never put your hands on women again. You never touch women again. You know how to control yourself, all of these things. Do you think the women that you put your hands on forgot about it? Do you think that when you amass great success, they're just going to sit there and say, he used to beat me, but it's all good? Mm-hmm. Nigga, no. Yeah. This is why you got to watch what the fuck you're doing. Mm-hmm. Because people will weaponize that shit against you. Yeah. Bottom line. Yeah. You cannot be the guy that there are certain things. We can sit here and argue over it if you want to, but there are certain things in life that are unforgivable. They're unforgivable. And there's certain things that people will not forgive you for. Like Sketch said that, I was at a dark time and, I've changed since then. So here's the thing. He was doing gay porn. He said, I've changed since then. Unfortunately, we live in a society that once you do things with dicks as a man, you just eternally gay. Mm-hmm. You don't get the lesbian treatment. Lesbians, they can do something, be with a woman, whatever, and they can still have a functional relationship. But not even women want to deal with a dude that dealt with a dude. Mm-hmm. Like, if we just gonna literally be real, that's the truth. Mm-hmm. So that's the world we live in. I think that we should be cognizant of that. And not only just that, we need to add a level of mystery to our lives. Stop living out loud in front of people. Just stop. Mm-hmm. Like, people will meet somebody in 2 weeks and they posting 1 million pictures of this person. Like, oh my God, like, I think I found the love of my life. And this is my forever friend and all this. Stop it. Mm-hmm. I know you are in a moment where you are in love with this person, but the truth of the matter is you don't fucking know them. Right. You could be with somebody over a year and you still don't know. You don't know them like that. Let's say you meet a girl and she's 35, right? And you meet her and you with her a year. You got 34 years that you don't know about this woman.
Yeah.
Be careful about what the fuck you put out there. Because the truth of the matter is, when you live a life and you live that life in private, right? And let's say some shit pop off and you find out your lady been cheating on you. Or you find out she had an OnlyFans getting gangbanged or some crazy shit like that. You can walk away from her in private and live your life. Because it was never publicized. Mm-hmm. People just don't appreciate their own privacy for some reason.
Didn't you say that it was like a dating thing where like some guy was asking like women, like, have they ever been like on OnlyFans?
No, that was was the balloon show. Oh, he said, have you ever done any explicit content? Have you ever had any OnlyFans? Mm-hmm. And then one girl said, like, what do you mean by explicit content? I'm thinking, like, of course, that's what it means. Yeah. I think it's a good question. I think it's a pertinent question.
In 2024,
it's a very serious question. Mm-hmm. And some people will say, like, you know what, sex workers shouldn't be shamed, this and that and the third. I'll be clear. I don't think they should be shamed, because I feel like sex work is an essential business. It is. During the pandemic, they had free Pornhub.
Right.
A lot of people was watching it. I was one of them. But that's the thing. So sex work, I feel like but here's the thing. It's a job for certain people that can handle that type of thing. It's like working at a coroner's office. That ain't for everybody. Everybody ain't built to see brains and guts and eyeballs, right? And it's no different with the sex industry. Some people can suck dick and fuck each other on camera. Good for them.
Yeah, it's when you see like Alexis Texas or like a Tiana Trump or something like that. When you see them and they talk, they have devoted their lives to being on camera.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I don't see a world for them when they're talking that is like, I may not do this in the future. I may switch and go to college, or I may switch and be a politician or something. Like, they've devoted their life to that. Mm-hmm. But the thing about it is, there are people that think that it's a lick, and they want to start an OnlyFans. And like I said, we know some people that have dabbled. They done throw a link in their bio, and they try to like sell their content or whatever, and then they get out of it. And just know that somebody has that username or that link, or they recorded that.
Absolutely.
Took some screenshots, and it's never going away.
Some people got two phones where they looking at your porn or whatever on there, but they got another phone just recording the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just got another phone recording all your pornos. Yeah. They got your titties all over the place, whatever. It don't matter what, like, people, I guess people do what they consider like OnlyFans. That's like, like mild content, like where they in a thong or they titties is showing a little bit or their booty is out.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter, because truth be told, when you don't want to be viewed as a piece of meat and you don't want people to look at you that way, you've put so many images of yourself out there like that now motherfuckers gonna look at you like a piece of meat. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you did it to yourself. You can't have your dick out and be like, I'm more than my penis. Mm-hmm. Why are y'all talking about my penis? Because your dick is out, you idiot.
I guess the only thing that I would say is that some people is making money. Like,
absolutely.
I guess that's like, but the stuff do come with that, and that's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's probably, I don't know, like, I don't know anybody that I can just say like, hey, how much money are you making on there, without being single. But I just think that, people. I guess it's worth it, to them to be doing that type of stuff. So.
I would say this honestly. The only reason why I would say it's not worth it is for this reason. It's not worth it, not only because you don't know who you're going to be someday, but the fact that so many people that got to enjoy your content are also judging you. The same person that was beating their meat to watching your content is judging you and talking about you. And that's just the world, man. Yeah. We could sit here and it could be a perfect world. Like, nobody should judge me because if they're watching it, it's not how it works. Unfortunately, the same motherfucker throwing rocks live in a glass house.
Yeah. We keep circling back to the same points, but just to say it again, like, at a certain point in your life, like, that stuff is going to time out, dog. Like, there's some people that obviously have like huge brands and they're going to be able to make sexual content forever. But even like a girl like Mia Khalifa, she's trying to.
Was she bring back in? I guess you said.
I don't know what she's doing, in terms of her content now. But I'm just saying, like, she tried to kind of do the sports talk, and she just kind of gets viewed as like the sexual, like the Middle Eastern girl that was doing sex tapes, or not sex tapes, but doing
actual porn.
Doing porn, yeah. So I just think that's just a decision you got to make. Like, I just think overall we got to start thinking about the pros and cons. I was listening to it was one of the things my therapist taught me, but I've heard another thing put together by one of my guys, and he was just saying, like, when it comes to certain decisions, we got to like really sit down and write it down. What are the pros and what are the cons of doing any sort of thing?
It's like a football play,
right?
How am I going to beat this coverage? Who's open, who's not open,
right?
How long are they open? How much of a window does my quarterback have to throw that ball? It's no different with life. You got to sit down and write that shit down and figure out if it's worth it.
And even with the football analogy, like, you don't know what the defense. You may have an idea what the defense is going to run. But you don't know. Like, 75% of the time they run man to man on third down.
Might have a quarterback spy. Who knows?
Yeah. So you when it comes to that, it's all about, like, like you said, like, just kind of thinking about the pros and cons and the percentages of what may happen. I may blow up from this. I may make a lot of money, but I also may not make a lot of money. Right. What happens if I want to get a job as a secretary at a school? What if I want to be campus security or something like that? And, all else fails and, they find this content. It's like, you're not going to work there. It's over.
I think ultimately, I've said this before about other things, but you don't get to do things and then have a perceived idea of how you're supposed to be viewed. That's not how life works.
Yeah.
That's not how life works. You don't get to slap a woman in the face and then turn around and say, look, I'm sorry. I was mad at the moment, but you shouldn't judge me for that. No, nigga, you slapped a woman.
Right.
You don't get to fucking tell the world how you should be perceived after doing something like that.
Yeah.
You don't, and I hate to say this, and if we can move on, but you don't get to suck dick on camera and then say, like, I shouldn't be judged for it and I deserve the love of my life and he should be okay with what I did in my past. That's not how it works.
I think a lot of people are trying to, like, change norms by doing things like that. And it if that's your fight, if you want to go down swinging, trying to normalize certain things, like, cool. But I just think overall it's not really worth devoting the time to that. I think that the things that you do, especially as an adult, sometimes as a kid you just a bunch of wild stuff. But as an adult, when your brain is fully developed and you don't got no mushy brain no more, you should literally only do things that you're okay with the world knowing.
Yes,
that's the way that you should move. But yeah, that's all I got on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to the the sex workers or the women out there that's like, I love doing my job. I love having sex. I love it. I've been doing this for 15 years. It's my life's purpose. I love it. I say to those people, congratulations, you found your purpose. Now, I think you should be proud of it. And I think also it's better. A lot of us work jobs we don't like. You got a job you like. You get to go to work and fuck. That's the best job. You just get to release all day.
Right. I think those people, there's some commonality with those kind of people. I would say, like, the thing that I see with those, at least the people that just randomly pop up with a link in a bio, I think those are the same people that back in the day used to do the little pyramid schemes. Like they used to get caught up in that. They just the people that have always like just tried to find the easy way out of certain situations. So, that's one of the things you see a lot of them same women that be like, they just gave up on like being like having real skills and just kind of use their sexuality to try to earn money, whether they're working as like one of them little what they call like the sparkly bottle girls,
the bottle service girls,
the ones that be walking through the club.
They be doing more than bottle service.
Yeah. So but yeah, that's all I got on that.
Yeah, man. That's pretty much all I got on that, man. Let me go ahead and move forward with this one. You know what? Where we at, man?
About 50 minutes.
Okay. You want to wrap it up after this next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to switch it up, though, because the one I talked about earlier with the passengers is just not a whole lot on that.
Okay.
But we did have a conversation before about something else.
Yeah.
We talked about the special needs, the parents.
Okay.
You want to dive into that?
Yeah.
All right, okay, let's do that. All right, switching gears. There was a conversation that spawned from like I don't think it was a Reddit post.
Podcast.
It was a podcast, but it was a clip on TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll run through this because I don't want to lose anybody. But basically, there was a young man that wrote this, and he says, "I grew up with a brother who had special needs. And growing up, I was basically invisible to my parents due to my brother needing a lot of care. So he spent a lot of time taking care of his brother, and his parents spent a lot of time taking care of the brother with special needs. He was in a wheelchair, and I forgot what he had, but he needed around-the-clock care. He got older. He moved away. He did a lot of things for himself, and he just felt like his family didn't really care about him. So ultimately, he just stayed away from his family. He didn't really care about them or whatnot. They wondered why he didn't like coming around or whatever. And he finally explained to them that I was invisible. You never cared about me. And they said, no, that's not true. You're full of this, whatever. So ultimately he built his own life, and he found a woman, and they had a discussion. They had a conversation.
Wait, before that, it was a couple more things where I think his brother had passed away and he didn't even go to the funeral, right?
I think that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So there was really it was deep down, like he really had a lot of resentment towards
his parents.
Just the way his whole upbringing, like that's real trauma.
Yeah, sure. It was. That is true. He did not attend the funeral. And I guess they said he was cold-blooded or whatever. And he says, "Don't act like you cared about me. You never cared about me growing up. I was completely ignored." So the thing is, I just want you guys to hear this loud and clear, so you don't invalidate anything. Just listen. So ultimately, after that goes on, he finds a young lady. They hit it off, and they have a discussion about special needs. And he tells her, if we should do a test, and if we do decide to have kids, we have a test. I do not want to have a child with special needs. I was neglected. I have trauma from being neglected by my parents because I had a brother who needed around-the-clock care, and I just basically grew up being completely neglected. And she agreed to that, to say if there was a child that did have special needs or had issues, that they would not move forward with it. Now, let me be clear. A lot of people will hear that and say, like, that's disgusting. How do you terminate a life because it's not the one you want, and all of these things. But I just need you to understand that a child with special needs is not just a child that turns 18 and you send them off to college. That is a lifelong investment.
For life.
And depending on how special those needs are, they're round the clock. And it's going to challenge relationships. It's going to challenge parenting. It's going to challenge everything. So let me keep going forward. Then, basically, after they had the conversation, she found out she was carrying. They took a test, and it turns out that there was a chance that the child could have special needs after the testing. Yeah. She reneged on what he said, and but he also mentioned, like, I would not take care of the child.
But
he said he would pay child support, but he did not want to be involved.
Yeah. And he spent thousands of dollars on getting different tests to verify. If that was legit or not.
Yeah. So he spent money on that, and then come to find out the child did have special needs, and he told her he would leave. Now, it sounds extremely cold-blooded to do that, right? It sounds extremely cold-blooded, but also, is it also not cold-blooded for them to have an agreement and her to just change her mind?
Right. Yeah.
So we have to look at all of these things. So then afterwards, he paid the child support for the child and everything, but he just didn't want to have anything to do with it. Ultimately, 2 years later, the child passed on. And he had found another woman and told her what had happened. And I think he ended up having kids with her.
Yeah, now they have a family, I guess.
Yeah, they have a family now, but he explained to her what had happened. And I mean, they're still together, and she understood. So here's the thing, right? It's a lot. And I think before you shut everything out and say, like, it doesn't matter if the child has special needs, you know, you're supposed to be there and this and that. Bro, I've seen people firsthand who have children with special needs. There are children that literally that can't see, and they're deaf and they can't see and they can't walk and they're in a wheelchair. They're literally living in torture 24/7. And there was another story of a boy that talked about how tough it was with his brother like that, and how ultimately the father and the mother was so stressed out, the dad ended up dying, and the mother had full custody of the child with special needs, and she got so stressed out and it was too much. She had to end up giving the child away to somebody that could give them around the clock care.
God damn.
But let me be clear, and we gotta start having real conversations, people. Is it wrong to provide that child with the care that they need around the clock? Or should you just stress yourself completely out till you die? Because the father died. And then the mother, it was just the mother and the son that were taking care of the child with special needs. And the child, for one, did not ask to be here, but I'm sure the child is suffering on a daily basis. You know, and it's way more nuanced than people make it. But in this case, we see what happened. He said that, and we have to stop acting like a person with special needs is not a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because obviously when you set out to have a child, you hope 10 toes. I always hear Floyd Mayweather say, like, you know, what do you want your child to be or whatever? He always says, I just want them to be, you know, good health, 10 toes, 10 fingers. And, you know, that's all I can, you know, hope for. And I think that's it's a tough position because when you, like I said, when you set out to have a kid, most times they are going to be healthy, but there are situations like in this case where that stuff does happen, and it's tough because as people, like, say, anybody with any sort of goals or aspirations or that has like a certain career, that becomes your full-time job, you know, taking care of that kid. And I seen it firsthand with, you know, some family friends and stuff like that. And it becomes like, you know, like the thing where, you know, we have love for them. But you could kind of see like how the mom can't really like, or the parents can't really like let their shoulders down because, you know, if they bring them over at the family thing, they got to make sure they're not doing any sort of thing like
behaviors,
certain
medication.
Behaviors. And I would say, I believe, like, you know, just for me from the outside looking in, I believe there's a little bit of embarrassment, you know, when it comes to those situations where I've seen like people that have kids with like severe autism, where they're like kind of like, hey, you know, they're happy, they're hanging, they might want to take a drink or so, and then like the son or whatever starts to yell or, you know, have a panic attack or whatever the case may be, and then they gotta like go tend to the kid or whatever. And then, you know, like I said, it's a life thing, you know. You can't. It's not a thing where, you know, they have a normal life where they turn 18 and then they go to college and, you know, they start a family and they have kids and everything like that. Like it's really, you know, up until whatever their life expectancy is, you are there. You know, they are still that 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid for the most part. I have a friend. You know, I'm not going to say specifically who it is, but I have a friend who had a situation where I think his grandpa ended up having like a kid. So he basically has like I think it would be his cousin, or no, it's his uncle, my bad. His uncle who's younger than him, but also is like special needs, right?
Oh man.
And he's kind of left with taking care of him because his grandpa passed away. And he was just saying like, man, it's tough, man, because I'm like dang near raising my uncle. He kind of just got pushed onto me.
Yeah.
And he's also is underdeveloped. He has the brain of like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a tough situation, man. And I think that like you said, I think this is interesting because it's like he has real trauma associated with it.
Yes.
But I think outside of that, there are some of those conversations that those hard conversations that need to be had on both ends, like for the kid, for the person that is experiencing, going to those special need classes. And like, I know you've seen it where, you might have been in elementary or something like that, and they have the class that's way out, and then some of the kids are, they're I'm not going to describe them because that may be disrespectful, but they're not like as aware, as the other kids on campus.
Obviously.
And and it's just like, it's tough to see, man.
Yes.
And like obviously, those teachers, they love those kids and they want them to thrive and have the best, life that they can. But it is hard to see that.
I think also it goes to show there's a lot of, like, I think that parents raise a child, but at some point the child starts to be more independent. Mm-hmm. And I think that the independence that the child gains, it takes pressure off of the parents.
Right.
And that doesn't happen when the child has special needs.
Right.
And I think that this is a real conversation people need to have. They just say, like, and let's be clear, a child with special needs or a child without is a blessing because it's another life that you created. However, there is a difference. It is stressful, and I've seen parents that go through a lot, man. And also what's fucked up is when, let's say you take your child out and they're having a behavior, and society is so fucking stupid. They're like, hey, you need to take care of your child. And it's like, you don't realize that my child has special needs. That's why they're acting out. It's not because they're bad and that they're disobedient and they're they're just these modern Gen Z kids. It's because my child has special needs. And it's got to get fucking aggravating explaining that to everybody that's trying to check you for your child. That has to be. So yes, this is an important conversation to have. Yes, you should be able to make a collaborative decision if you want to go through this or not. Right. It's tough. I know women that are single mothers that have a child with special needs. And my thing is I wouldn't even try to play with a woman like that. And what I mean by that is this. It's not like she's repulsive because she has a child with special needs. But if your intentions are not if they're not completely pure, leave her alone. She's dealing with enough. That's all I'm saying. If you are not ready to be a caretaker and another caretaker for that child, don't play with a woman that has special needs. Leave her alone.
Yeah,
I hope that doesn't sound bad, Keith.
No, I get it. Yeah, I completely agree.
You have to be bought in.
Right.
Like if you
it's a full package.
Yeah, it's a full package. Like you see your daughter that might be, have like maybe slobbering or can't walk right or is bound to a wheelchair. You need to be set up as a man to be another caretaker or you should not be in her life. That is how it works. It's a package deal. You don't get to be with a girl and be like, she got a big booty. I love having sex with her, but I ain't dealing with that kid. That's fucked up.
Yeah. That's just more stress on her.
Yeah, because now you got a nigga, she got a man playing in her face and she's dealing with this. Not only that, she got to provide a life. So she's going to work probably at a job that she does not like. So she's at a job that she probably does not like at all, and then she has to go home and tend to her child, and it's tough.
Right. Yeah.
Administering medications and things of that nature. Because at one time back in the day, I worked with special needs adults for just a temporary amount of time, and my father worked with people who had autism back in the day at a group home, and I grew up around people with autism. So I understood like when they had, my dad administered medications and stuff like that. So I seen all this stuff firsthand when they had, behaviors and things of that nature. I'm not just talking out of my ass. I've seen this shit since I was about 7. I was about 6 or 7 years old, all the way up to my teens when my dad was doing that type of work. And I seen this. So it told me like, whenever I seen a kid at school that may have been mentally retarded or whatever, I would see other kids like making fun of him, like, he retarded, ha ha ha, laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing at this kid? I would just be sitting there and they looking at me wondering why I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing because I'm not stupid like y'all. Y'all parents didn't put y'all on no game. It was a dude that went to school. I got to shout him out. I haven't seen him in years, but he was always cool. He just was different. It was a kid named Arsenio. And he had autism, I guess you could say, or I'm not sure if the proper wording would be like mental retardation.
Just special needs.
Special needs. We'll just leave it there, right? And he would like run around the campus. It was when NBA Jam had just came out, like the newer version, and he was just like NBA Jam, NBA Jam, NBA Jam, like real loud. And like at first, like we kind of giggled, like because people with autism can also have humor and be funny and things of that nature. And then you stop laughing because you're not laughing at them, like you understand why they're doing what they're doing, right? And people was like, shut up, stop, shut up, who cares, shut up. And it's like, your parents did a fucked up job. They didn't teach you shit because you're around a person that has, special needs and you're aggravated by them. It's embarrassing. And there's still some people to this day that will post memes with people with autism and stuff. I don't think that's fucking funny. I think a lot of things are funny in life. I think a lot of things are hilarious, right? But like when you start aiming at people who have special needs, it's like, come on. Yeah, it's not funny. Now I have heard some jokes where comedians may have poked a little fun or something at this or that. But I also laugh at a good black joke here and there too. Right? Yeah. So it's all in fun, but we have to know that there's a thing. But
no, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I just think that those conversations need to be had. If anybody's out there and they're trying to get pregnant or they're trying to raise a family and stuff like that, I think it's important to have those conversations. And I know for me and my partner, we've spoke about it, and this is before this TikTok thing even was a thing.
Right.
Like it was just a conversation that I had, and we kind of came to an understanding when it came to that conversation. But yeah, man, I just like I said, it's one of those things where for I'll speak from my perspective. For me, I wanted to do a lot of things in life, and a lot of those things require like a certain level of independence, from the kids that you're raising.
Absolutely.
Like to do the podcast or, we'd have to orchestrate like what that looks like, or like,
absolutely.
Obviously like at a certain level that the children can go to school.
Absolutely.
But what does life look like after they get out of school?
Absolutely.
And how do you navigate that? Or, when they do turn 18 and, they graduated high school, and now they're just living at the house, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And then, there's the part of like, people, I think people calculate like, when your kid gets 18 and I don't have to like take care of them. Obviously, sometimes your kid may be like 21 or something, 22, still living at the house, but, just traditionally like 18 they go out to college or they live on their own or they start getting their own money, resources, and get a job and stuff like that. You kind of factor that in. Okay, I got a little bit of extra money now, like me and the wife we could go on a couple more vacations and everything like that, but part of that is like we can't we have to
absolutely
tend to our child still. So it's just a conversation. I'm curious to know like what other people think out there, if anybody has had an experience, relative, brother, sibling, whatever the case may be, cousin that they've had an experience with, or they've seen these things kind of break people up, break up couples, break up families. So yeah, let us know. Shoot us a message or something like that, or even leave a comment on
Yeah, tell us what we missed.
Yeah.
If we missed something on this conversation, let us know.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how serious it is, having a child with special needs. Deontay Wilder. When Deontay Wilder was 19, he found out his daughter had spinal bifida, which that can really cause, almost like deformities and things of that nature. And it motivated him so much that he became a professional boxer. But he knew he had to do it because he had to make a substantial amount of money to give her the round-the-clock care that she needed. That is how serious it is. But when you're a regular adult that is going to a regular job, you will never get rich that way. And you are like, the stresses of the world are enough You know what I'm saying? But now you have to be at a job you don't like, and all these things are going on just so you can take care of your kids. When you see a person that's rich and they have a child with special needs, the blow has been softened a lot because they have the caretakers and all the things they need to take care of that child.
Right.
So it's a lot different when you got that much money. When you don't got that much money and you're trying to live, and imagine living paycheck to paycheck and you have a child with special needs. It's not fucking easy, man.
Right.
Not at all. And by the way, this is the part we got to talk about too. And this is unfortunate, but we got to say this. I think parents, regardless of, how much they love their children, they all deserve a break. All of them. They all deserve a break. You all deserve to go on a vacation. It's parents that can't save money. They can't fuck. They can't do nothing. And it's taking a toll on their lives, I think that part of being a parent is still having a level of independence on your own. Being able to take your partner out, being able to have a decent sex life, being able to have some type of financial empowerment and things of that nature. A lot of those things take a complete back seat when you have a responsibility that big. I'm not going to beat this conversation down. I just really hope that anybody that either has a cousin or a daughter or a son or anybody with special needs, chime in on this conversation, and you can do this completely anonymous and let us know your situation or just give us some insight on what you've been through, because I want to hear it. But I'm not going to be one of those people, the people that, they got kids and their kids are just, their kids don't have any special needs and whatever the case. And those people will have the nerve to tell people, like, whether your child has special needs or not, you need to take care of them. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you don't have the same experience.
Shut up. You don't have the same experience. And since I don't, I'm not going to put my expectations on anybody. I just want to have a conversation that involves all of the nuances that surround special needs. Whether it involves the other kid that doesn't have special needs that feels completely fucking neglected.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. That's also something. Or your partner that feels completely fucking neglected. Y'all ain't fucked in months, maybe a year. And it's not because y'all don't love each other. It's because you're so consumed with, caretaking. And it takes a toll, man. But let's go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. It's so motherfucking hot.
Yeah, I would say it's a little cooler than last week, though.
Really?
Yeah, I believe so.
Well,
last week I was sweating profusely.
Well, hot feels the same to me, Keith.
Hot is hot.
Yeah. It's getting hotter here, so take off all your clothes.
You gotta keep those on.
Getting so hot, I want to take my drawers off. I remember when that song came out when I was a senior in high school. Yeah. And one of the dudes was somebody in the class was singing it. It's getting hot in here, and we had a teacher. Her name was Mrs. Harris, and she was so fucking fine. It was this white chick from Oregon, and she was too young to be our teacher for one. She was only 26.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And she was fine, way ahead of her time. She looked like an Instagram chick back in 2003. Right. Anyways, she's like, hey, don't talk like that. Don't sing that song in his class. Yeah. And he was like, oh, my bad. Then the next day, it's getting hot in here.
What did she say?
She's like, hey, you guys have to cut it out. You got to cut it out.
It's some teachers, because I'm going to be a teacher next year, and it's some teachers that were in my orientation that were very young. They were like 22, 23.
Too young.
Yeah,
you should be. Yeah, you shouldn't be in high school.
I feel like it kind of works because this is what I would say. A lot of those people can kind of like build a life to where they can retire really early, because I talked to one of my older teachers, and he started teaching like right around my age, and he probably won't be able to retire until he's like 57. So those same teachers that I'm talking about that started that early, they'll probably be able to retire. You can't really retire early because you can't pull your money out. But in terms of the money you accrue, and, if you did want to just take out your life insurance policy, whatever the case may be, you could do something like that. They would be able to retire like maybe 10 years, like 40, late 40s or something like that.
I'm thinking about teaching myself, man, like doing PE or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
I'm a shoo-in for that.
Yeah, honestly, being a teacher, and what I'm seeing now, like it comes in many different facets, right? Like I have one of my friends, he's a PE teacher, he has a decent life. You know, you get insurance, and you know, you get time off in the summer, and he gets to coach sports and stuff like that.
I'd be a shoo-in for that, man.
Yeah, and then I have another teacher that's an English teacher, another friend that's an English teacher, and you know, he says after he kind of got his rhythm, he says it's pretty much, you know, the easiest job, you know, he's ever had.
What if for the B&P teacher, what you got to have, like a kinesiology major, or what is it, credential, or what is that?
Yeah, generally you need a kinesiology thing. I think for you, like, I'll keep my eyes out. They have like career technical education. So if there was a thing in any, like in the world of like, I don't know, like podcasting or
holy shit,
like
that's crazy,
teaching, you know, truck driving, or, you know, I'm sure there's those
they
things.
do that.
Yeah.
If they had a legitimate course of like a high school career type transition for truck driving, I would be the fucking #1 teacher in Bakersfield.
No, for sure. Yeah. So if I see anything, because they have aviation at one school, and a lot of times, like, obviously the jobs only pop up if somebody moves on, or if they retire, or if they get fired, whatever the case may be. But if I see that, like, I'll give you the blueprint, and you'll like, as fast as I became a teacher, like, I know for sure, like, if you're already in that world and they got something like that, because they got like automotive and stuff like that already, so I know for sure, like, it's a no-brainer.
They need to, bro. This is hilarious that we're barely having this conversation. Why don't they have some form of commercial driving in school?
Why don't they?
Yeah, it's insane that they don't.
Yeah.
The thing that's crazy about commercial driver's license is, like, there are never enough truck drivers on the road. We have
100%.
We have way too much shit moving all over the road to not have, like, at least a credited course in high school where you can have like a shifting range where you could take somebody out and they could shift.
What?
Go ahead.
What is the? Do you have to be 18?
20. I think it's 21.
21. Okay,
To
that's
get
probably why then.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You turn 18 either right in high school or out. So you got 18, 19, 20, 21. You'll have 3 years credited. So I think they should have a program that it'll start in high school, but it'll be credited towards your license.
They need to do.
They got to find some way to California to like literally carry that over.
They could do like an adult school, because they have
Absolutely.
the adult school there as well, to where some of the people they could be. I don't know how old the adult school works, but I think there's some people that's like 20, 19 in there.
But you know what's funny? The reason why they should do it, it takes like the same amount of time to get involved in like these unions.
Yeah.
You know, it takes you 3 years, 2 years, 5 years to get involved in these unions for whether it's plumbing or something else. Right. So it's like, if they're gonna wait for
time
that,
it, to where they could do that.
Absolutely. By the time you're 21, you got all these years of driving in school. You know what I'm saying? And because here's the thing too, that it don't even have to be physical. They have what's called what do you call those things? Simulator courses.
Right.
They have simulators, and there's a dude.
I don't know why I'm saying it like that, dog. I don't know what the aviation thing is, but they have aviation courses. I don't imagine you can be 18 flying no planes around. So,
bro, you ready for this? They had that when I was in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
When I was at Kern Junior High School, they had flight simulator there.
Yeah.
It was in Mr. Skiba's class.
Wow.
Yeah, we talking about 1998, man. So you look at now, I think they should have truck driving simulators where you can simulate driving a truck, turning wide, backing it if you need to, and credit it, and then actually get these guys in trucks. And I think it's safer. It would be an initiative to make the road safer, because you're getting guys that only got 2 months experience driving all over the road doing dumb shit.
Right.
If you teach these young guys, even before they get a regular driver's license, if they know how to drive a freaking 18-wheeler, even in a simulator, they'll have some form of what do you call that?
Yeah, that'd be dope.
They'll have some form of muscle memory.
Yeah.
They'll be acclimated to knowing how to drive this vehicle.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. You don't even have to get your Class A. You'll just have the information, but if you want to do something else, you can. But if you do, you got years of this shit.
Yeah. I talked to one of my the people that was training our group of group of new teachers, and he was saying only about like 30% of the people that he teaches goes into the workforce.
Wow.
So he's saying a lot of it is just like cool, like resume stuff, cool college, application stuff, like to where people can say like, oh, I took this class, I took they have like the Some of it are like more specialized, like they
got welding,
law enforcement stuff. Yeah, they have like welding and stuff like that. They got like firefighters. They have cosmetology and all these things. Some of those are like more like, okay, I'm going to get my license or I'm going to apply to be a police officer as soon as I graduate. But some of the other stuff, like it's a lot of like robotics and stuff like that. Some of those people may do that, and they may not necessarily like, they may not necessarily go into that field. They may just like have love to do it in high school, and then they go and be like, I don't know. They may go and study English.
I would absolutely love to do that class. Mm-hmm. I would love, because I would make it so fun. But I would be on their ass. Like, I wouldn't be a fun guy all the time, but I'll be like, hey, we got to lock in. No goofing off. Let's get this done. Because if you shift wrong, I'm failing you.
Right.
So you keep.
I would say for you too, like outside of just like the idea of it, like, but in terms of like your life, the work that you do now is like, obviously it pays the bills and stuff like that. But in terms of like what we desire out of life, like the freedom that we desire, being a teacher is much closer to like that than what you're doing now, because honestly, because of the benefits. Like, we're in a position now, and especially us as like people of color, like we need, if we have our own business is great, but to be in a position to where you have a job that gives you benefits, that gives you insurance, that gives you a salary to where you don't have to show up to get paid. Obviously, you can't miss a whole year. Yeah. But like, you get a certain amount of days allotted to you where like if you sick or whatever, you still getting paid regardless. And you're part of a union. You got, support, in terms of that. You got disability, you got life insurance, all these things that are like, that we hear growing up, like, ooh, you got benefits at your job, or, you hear it like as kind of a thing. But like when you really experience it, and you have to, like for me, I've signed my paperwork, like I have beneficiaries, and, I have a policy that takes care of me if certain things happen. I have really good insurance, like all these things, like it's like it almost makes you think like, why would I work at a place that doesn't provide those sort of things? You know what I mean? And I think, like I said, for you, a person that's,
I have the insurance and things of that nature, but I do not have those other things, like the guaranteed salary, time off stuff. We don't get that as drivers. Drivers have a high demand, so they don't play with us. They're like, nigga, if you don't show up.
The cool part about it is they could do it. I'm sure, because you got to think like the UPS. I'm not saying that they are truck drivers, but they're in a position to where they're
in transportation.
Right, exactly. So they're even like UPS, FedEx, and other companies like that. They take care of the drivers, even post office and stuff like that. A lot of them have benefits and stuff like that, and they're fighting. There's a union involved, and they're fighting for salary increases and stuff.
Ain't no unions here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about as far as being a teacher goes. Like, there's a union involved, even with the UPS people.
The only union I know about is Union Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna hang on to that, because that whole idea of a Class A not being in school, I wonder who I could present that question to. Like, is that can we make that something, being as a class, and it would be more inclusive to young women too, because I feel like there's not a whole lot of women that have their CDL. I've been seeing more now, but like I think it would be dope to get more women in trucks too. Get them in jobs. Get them in jobs that are unconventional. I think that's dope. Welding. They've already have welding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. But
yeah.
Is there anything else to add, man? We go ahead and wrap this thing up.
No, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, folks, I appreciate you listening to that rant at the very end. I know it was all over the place, but we appreciate you. If you have made it to the end of this episode, we genuinely appreciate you. Thank you for listening to a Trucker's Mind podcast. I am Eddie McGee.
It's your boy K Fings.
And we're out of here.
Peace.